Hey, this is Matthew, and welcome back to Nerd News Today. And on this episode, it's finally here. We are continuing our look at Diamond Select's Lord of the Rings action figures. Previously in Wave 1, we looked at versions of Legolas and Gimli, which I thought were amazing figures, some of the best work that Diamond Select has done in action figure form. I'm hoping they continue that momentum here in Wave 2, where we've got our very first version of Frodo and a figure of the Nazgûl, the Ringwraiths. So let's talk about this packaging really quickly here. And again, it's the identical packaging that we saw with Wave 1, which are kind of very nice, very economically sized boxes here. We're not talking like the Marvel Select figures, which have these enormous boxes. No, these are much easier to deal with, much easier to store. Simple, large window display in the front that lets you see into everything you're getting with this figure here, which includes Build-A-Figure pieces for the Sauron, which we're going to take a look at once we get these guys out of the packaging. And on each side of the packaging, we also have a little window to let you see inside it. Nothing fancy, it gets the job done, and that's just fine for me. The back of the box keeps it even more simple, in fact, with just a picture of the two characters in this wave, a little symbol letting us know who's also available, a picture of how big that full-size Sauron is going to be, and just a brief little paragraph telling you, hey, these are Lord of the Ring toys, it's got articulation, it's got some accessories, build a Sauron. That's pretty much it. There's no bios, there's no credits to the artist here, which I wouldn't have minded, honestly, either of those things on this packaging here. That's something I always like with Diamond's figures, is the bios, and also the fact they will credit who their artists, their designers, their sculptors were. I don't know who sculpted, I don't know who designed these, so I can't really give them the credit that they deserve because, I already know that Legolas and Gimli were really amazing figures. I have equally high hopes for these, and I want to make sure I can credit the person or people that put these together because they do a great job over at Diamond. Based on just my initial look at the exteriors of the packaging here, you guys did a great job. So consider that my blind shout out to whoever it was that did design and sculpt these two figures. So there's really not much more to say beyond that, so let's go ahead, let's get our Frodo and our Ringwraith out of the packaging and get a closer look at them from all angles. Alright, and here are our two Lord of the Rings Series 2 figures now out of the packaging. We have over here Frodo, and over here a Ringwraith. So let's talk about likenesses first, and there's not really a likeness on a Ringwraith, because that's just not really what they do. They're not really about that, but if you are curious what his face is, it's just basically a flat piece of rubber. There's no actual face back there. It's just really a piece of plastic that is so concave that light really can't penetrate it. And that way it totally conceals whatever face it could have. So yeah, there is no head or likeness on Ringwraith, obviously. But on Frodo, does this look like Elijah would? And I would have to give that a positive yes. Yes, definitely looks like Elijah would. It's a very good likeness of Elijah, in fact. But I will say it doesn't quite feel as detailed or as nice looking as what we got in Wave 1. And I think a lot of that came down to paint. It could also be the fact that he is a hobbit, and so therefore smaller, and that also means all the details on his face are not quite as pronounced because he is a smaller kind of character. So that could actually be what's happening here. But yeah, there is definitely not as much paint detail. In fact, this feels a lot flatter compared to what we saw in Wave 1. Really, it's just like one paint tone. Really, it's just like one tone of flesh color. He's got lip color, and then it's just eyebrow color and eyes. Whereas I feel like in Wave 1, we had a little bit more depth with the amount of paint and the types of paints and how they use them. And really how it was kind of like layered on really nice and thinly. Like, they were very, very well painted figures. Easily some of the best that Diamond has ever done. This figure here, it's a good likeness still, but it doesn't quite feel as detailed, so it's a little bit of a letdown in that regard, but still very good. And the thing is too, if you're looking at these figures from further away, it's going to be fine, because he is so much smaller. A lot of that detail will be kind of lost anyway. So even right now, the way you can see it, you can see he's casting some good shadows, and it really just might be that the paint job is just a little bit lacking compared to the others, but otherwise, still pretty good. As far as the look and the outfits go for both these figures, I think they're very good. The Ringwraiths I've never really been able to pay much attention to because they're usually on horses, and they're, again, just in so much tattered, dark clothing. You can't really see what they're all about, but, with this figure here, you get to see a little bit more of what their details are like. They're almost like the ghost of Darth Maul in some ways. And as for our Frodo over here, again, very nice. I think they got the details of the clothes down very accurately here. This is looking very good, very nice as well. The colors, I would say, are pretty accurate. I like the flow of the jacket here as well, especially with, the sword kind of being shown a little bit there. Gotta like the trousers, and of course, bare feet, so you can see the detail on his hair there. The way the hair is painted on his feet is a little bit weird, but, it's also movie accurate. They're trying not to make it look like too huge, too puffy, too unsightly, and that might take away from the figure. So here, they look almost a little bit muddy in some ways, like his feet almost look dirty, as opposed to them looking hairy and furry. But that's really only if you're really close to them. I think if you take a little bit of a step or two back, they don't look so bad. They look, again, pretty natural. And there is some good detail on it. I think really, again, that kind of comes down to paint. Like maybe it needed some more paint, some more darks perhaps there to kind of like separate it because, he is barefoot. So yeah, his feet are going to be pretty filthy, and they are filthy in the movie. I just wish maybe there's a little bit more darks in the fur to kind of help it pop and separate itself, as opposed to just look like a pile of mud that's on the top of his feet. Otherwise, though, I think likenesses, well, really likeness, is very good here, and the outfits are really good too, very accurate, really nice. Really like the flowing robes as well here. And you can see some of the armor peeking out, which is very reminiscent of Sauron's armor, so that's kind of a cool thing. I didn't really notice as much in the original films, to be quite honest, because they are so dark, but you can see here just really good detail, nice flowing, grim-looking robe here, very cool Ringwraith. So let's talk accessories. I'm going to start with the Ringwraith here, and he's got, I think, the most accessories out of the two figures in this wave here. And let's start with this one here. This would be a short sword that he carries, which you could probably argue could be a dagger even, but I'm pretty sure it's a short sword because it's like the same size as Sting over here. But yeah, this really, really cool looking, really demonic, evil looking short sword here, which has its own sheath, which right there, I don't think this actually fits onto him. I'm trying to find if it would attach to him. It might attach to him somewhere, but I don't know how or where it would. I think it's more just meant to be like carried on his horse or something, which they're not making, but we'll cover that in a few minutes. We also get this over here, which is a very long sword. I'm actually thinking this might be for Sauron, to be quite honest. This might be part of the Build-A-Figure, actually. I'm not too sure, but look at the size of this sword here. That's a big honking sword for our Ringwraith. Put that back in the sheath. I love that these sheaths are here. And then finally we have over here another really, really, really long sword. This one's as big as Frodo. Look at the size of that. I don't think actually either of these are for Sauron. I'm not quite positive because I don't really remember what he would have had actually. I don't think either of these would fit in Sauron's hands, so don't think these are quite right for him. But again, lots of weapons here. And then he also gets, speaking of Sauron, a Build-A-Figure piece. We have now the waist and the crotch piece for Sauron. We're going to look at that a little more close up later on in this video here. Now let's talk about what Frodo has, and he has really not quite as much. He has Sting with a scabbard for it, which is already on him here. That's attached to him, and Sting comes out of it just like that. Let's get a good look at this, actually. This is, oh yeah, that's got a lot of detail on it. Wow, that's a very detailed weapon here. Again, really good. Nice simple paint job, but it gets the job done. It's really the sculpted detail that works the best. Let's actually try and put some weapons into their hands now, too, while we're doing this. Let's see if we can get them in here. There we go. All right, we got Sting in his hand, so that does fit. Let's see if we can get some weapons into our Ringwraith's hands. Let's start with this very long sword over here. The one downside I'm seeing right away is that his robe is so big that you actually can't really get it beyond that point here. It's going to just always go into his robe a little bit. Let's try a smaller weapon, maybe. Let's go with the short sword. That should work a lot nicer. There we go. Yeah. Short sword works a lot better, for sure. So Frodo, as I mentioned, he's got Sting. What else does he come with? He's got this vial from Galadriel, which has like a special potion that protects him in the film. I don't remember exactly if there's a proper name to it, but it's very tiny, very small, very silver, pretty nice. In the words of Danhausen, very nice, very evil, but not really evil. And finally, we get this piece over here, which you can see it's wrapped up real nicely. Let me go ahead and unfurl this. And so what this is this is actually part of Sauron. So I guess we're going to be talking about Sauron now. Let me move these guys out of the way for a second. In fact, let's talk about the Sauron pieces here. So I already showed you guys that Ringwraith has this piece. Frodo has a very cool piece. Frodo gets the chest for Sauron, which is right here. Look how scary that is. And then finally, Frodo also has the cape for Sauron, the cloak. Look at how long and huge this cape is. So we're going to put that together, I think, towards the end of this video here. But that is it as far as accessories go. That cape sheds a lot. So decent amount of accessories, you know, very nice. The Ringwraith's ability to hold some of the stuff is a little hindered because of his cloak, but that's to be expected. And speaking of hindrances, let's talk about articulation here. That's going to be pretty tough on him as well. You know, Ringwraith, his head does move, but he doesn't really have a head to speak of, but his head does move, whatever's on his chest there. We have decent articulation, ball joint on the shoulders, bicep swivel. Looks like double jointed elbow. Yeah, double jointed elbow. The wrists do move, but again, this robe piece is really kind of blocking it. I think the waist, well, the chest piece does move, but hard to move it because of all the rubber pieces on it. Same with the legs. There's movement there, but you got to really kind of force it around. I mean, luckily, we can actually move this out of the way. You can see what's going on over here. It's not too hindered, so you can move things a little bit, so you can at least get him standing, but not the greatest of articulation. I think Frodo, though, is much better. Again, he's got the same 16 points of articulation. Actually, he might not. He actually does not have a chest joint here, so that point is missing from him. Looks like we have single-jointed elbows also. Head moves nicely, though. Leg articulation, good also. He does have knee joints, a little stiff out the box. So I don't think Frodo has the same amount as the Ringwraith does, but he's got less hindrances than the Ringwraith does, so that's what you get for him. Now let's bring in some other figures to do some comparisons with, and obviously we need to bring in the other Lord of the Rings figures that we have so far from Diamond Select. And that's Gimli, which is right over here. See if we can get him standing. Gimli was, I think, probably my favorite of that first wave, in fact. He's a very, very good figure. So that's how Gimli is going to stand up next to Frodo. And let's bring in Legolas over here next to our Ringwraith. And there you go. He's looking pretty good there. So that's all 4 of our figures so far in the series here. And you can see what I mean now, too, by the faces and how, like, I really feel like there's a lot more detail in Gimli and especially in Legolas. Just a lot more going on there than we're getting in Frodo's face. But this is how our band of heroes is looking so far, along with one of the evil bad guys, one of the Ringwraiths. But overall, it's a really good start. Really enjoying this. Really happy to see this wave continue to getting fleshed out. And the fact that they're relatively close enough in scale. Now that I'm really looking at it, though, it feels like maybe Gimli might actually be too big. You guys let me know in the comments what you think about the height right now. Because there's definitely a lot of scale issues to go with. I'm thinking that, yeah, we got some height issues going on now that we're really seeing it. But otherwise, faces, clothing, weapons even, all looking very good together. Now, Gimli and Legolas each came with their own pieces of Sauron, and today we have a few other pieces we're going to add on to him. So let's just start building our Sauron finally, I think. I think we kind of have to here. So I guess let's first connect our waist piece to our chest piece. And yeah, by the way, folks, these shoulder pads do come out. They're very sharp, and I'd recommend if you're trying to connect these pieces, take them out so that you can actually get your hand wrapped around it better. All right, there we go. It took a little bit of work, but we got it in there. Let's go ahead and add an arm. I'll form the arm of Sauron. Okay, we have an arm. There we go. And last but not least, we have a leg, which is also on the exact same side. That's going to attach there. And luckily, these side bits move as well. I want to talk about stiff. Sauron might be the stiffest out of the box I've ever had to deal with on any of these figures. Luckily, his leg is going in pretty nicely. There we go. Look at the size of this guy. He is off camera. Look at how big this Sauron is. He's supposed to be 13 inches once he's all done. That's a lot of Sauron. Here's a little closer look as well, what we're dealing with this giant 13-inch Sauron here. This is really cool looking, man. This is going to be an awesome figure once it's finally done. So I'm actually not going to add the cape until we get the headpiece. I feel like it doesn't make sense to add that there. But this is how we're looking right now. This is very menacing. This is going to be really, really awesome once it is all fully completed. Oops, actually forgot I already do have the head. So let's pop that on. I completely forgot I actually got the head with, I don't remember who it was. Just lost a shoulder pad. Somebody came with a head. I lost the other shoulder pad. I'm going to finish the sentence. Someone did come with a head. I forgot which figure it was, but yeah, we do have a head now. So there we go. That's our head on. Let's get these shoulder pauldrons back on him as well. And this figure just got a lot scarier. There we go. So take 2 now with head. There we go. My camera can't even tilt that high, but yeah, Sauron's got a head. He's looking even more menacing than they did without the head. So yeah, you guys, we're getting close to finishing this thing even more than we were, well, basically 30 seconds ago. So I guess by the next 2 figures, we're going to actually finish off Sauron. So that's it for our review of the Lord of the Rings Series 2 figure of Frodo and the Ringwraith. Good accessories. Not maybe my favorite of the 2 waves so far, but hey, it's only wave 2, so I can't complain too much here. But we got a pretty nice Frodo, and we also have a decent Ringwraith. Now, I know earlier I said this is like, I think, a first version of Frodo. This is actually the second Frodo we've had. This is truly it's the first mass release of Frodo. But earlier this year, they did a 2-pack with Gollum. And yeah, there will be another Gollum figure as well released on his own. So that's going to be coming soon at some point. And speaking of coming soon, we also know what Wave 3 is going to be of the figures. And that's going to bring us an Aragorn and a Moriah orc, which is pretty cool. So we're going to start getting some more orcs here, which means you're going to be able to start building your armies of Sauron as well. Now, it's pretty obvious to me as I kind of slide in Sauron from behind, just have him float past these guys. It's kind of obvious to me that, yeah, we're going to run out of pieces for this Sauron fairly soon, because all he's missing right now is a head, an arm, and a leg. So that's not too many things left to finish. So I'm already thinking, this line is going to have legs for days, because there's still more characters they haven't gotten to yet. So I am hoping that that means we're going to have enough characters, and I'm pretty sure there are enough to do this, that we're going to get another Build-A-Figure. And I'm hoping that, fingers crossed, if they do another Build-A-Figure as this wave continues, as this whole series continues, the next thing is going to be an Ent, and I really want an Ent. That would be such a great figure, especially in the scale and the size of everybody else. So wishful thinking. But as far as what we have here now, our group is starting to look really good. It's starting to really flesh itself out here. I'm excited to see what we're going to get next from this wave here, from this entire Lord of the Rings series. Very good stuff, very good start. Things are really coming together for this series, and I'm excited to see it continue to grow, especially as we do get the rest of our main characters coming. There's still plenty more. I think, this is one of those series that could have a lot more figures than we're just thinking of, too. I know Diamond is being a little bit slow with these, but that's just because also, to be quite fair, manufacturing, production, and shipping toys are now, it's really horrible in our current pandemic times. But patience is a virtue, and I think it's really paying off for this line. And by the time it finishes, we're going to have, I think, the definitive Lord of the Rings action figure collection. So if you want to buy these figures for yourself, we're going to have links to a few places you can get them in the link. So if you'd like to buy any of these Lord of the Rings figures for yourself, go ahead and check out our description for the video below. You're going to see a few places you can pick these up for yourself. And while you're at it, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and leave a comment to let us know what you think about these figures. So until next time, I'm Matthew. This has been our look at Lord of the Rings Series 2 by Diamond Select, Frodo and a Ringwraith, and also just because here's Series 1, Gimli and Legolas. So we'll see you guys here next time with some more reviews and everything else that we do here on Nerd News Today. Until then, I'm Matthew. Thanks for watching.